Welcome. I'm David. This is my wife Jane. We're with Mike and April, and today we're talking about blended families. We get a lot of questions about that. Mike and April, there's a lot of talk about blended families. What are some of the things that you all think that people believe about blended families?
There's a lot of negative stereotypical conversation when it comes to blended families. As a child, you had to pick the mom or the dad side. That's what you get as a child. But I think we have managed to go a different route, which putting God first and let Him lead our household.
The thing that comes to mind whenever we think about blended families is that the parents don't get along. The child just has a lot of issues trying to be accepted from both families.
Mike, you mentioned that your family of origin didn't handle blended families very well.
No, not at
And
all.
you mentioned about God coming in and helping you all. How'd that happen for you?
It all came through April. She pretty much introduced me to Christianity, and I had no experience in church at all. And once you understand that the love of the Father is actually all you have to focus on, it just made it easier on our relationship and our children's relationship.
April, how did you help him get introduced to Christianity?
It definitely was not me. I invited him to church one time, but I think what really made the difference was our freedom group.
There's a class that you do like a self-evaluation of yourself, and you allow God to work those chains that you've had tying you down to break them away from your spiritually.
It really taught us how to forgive and really forgive and just let God handle it. And Jesus had already done it for us, so we didn't have to fight a battle with anybody.
There probably have been times when you wanted to, the conflict seemed like that's the next course with my husband's ex-wife and her husband. How did you make sure that didn't happen?
I think we really focused on putting Levi's feelings first. After we dealt with our own unforgiveness with God, and it just made it easier to put Levi's feelings first.
It's not uncommon in a blended marriage, blended family, where you could prioritize your relationship with your son ahead of your relationship with your wife. Have you made sure that that has not happened?
It used to happen. It was a big struggle for me. Pride, it was the hardest thing to try to evaluate on myself. I would always say, my son comes first no matter what. Doesn't matter who is ever involved in my relationship. My son. And it wasn't until I started looking at the pyramid how you're supposed to be God, father, mother, and children. And don't put your children in front of the mother, or else your foundation is not set. It was a moment where I had to speak to my son in a firm moment and say, that's my wife. You do not disrespect her. If she asks you to do something, you do it.
Do you feel like your son Levi saw a difference when you started putting your marriage first?
I think Levi did notice more love. I don't think he realized what work we were doing on the side for him or even for our marriage in general, but I think he felt the love. He didn't really know what it was or what was different about it, but I feel like he noticed there was more love in our environment, for sure.
I think you said to me before that structure was very important. Tell us a little bit about how y'all structured your family.
We've pretty much learned to forgive each other first and forgive anything that was outside trying to attack us, because when we try to work on our marriage, we get attacked more. And we pretty much had to come in the same agreement that if our son wants to feel loved in our home, he has to feel loved at his home equally. And we don't want him to take a certain side, whether it's on his mom's side or our side. We want him to feel like you should feel that you could tell your mom and her husband that you love them just as equally as you could tell us that you love us. I would rather him have two father figures in his life and two mother figures in his life that can show him the same kind of love no matter where he goes.
Mike and April, we appreciate y'all. You've done a great job. And if you have any questions about blended families, leave that in the comments.